Have you ever wondered why New Zealand, even in the 21st century, has never connected its islands with a bridge or tunnel? Sounds almost counterintuitive, doesn't it? After all, in countries like Japan and Europe, these connections have existed for a long time. But here, this project has never left the drawing board. Could it be just because of the high costs or natural dangers? Or is there something more behind this decision? Many believe that seismic risks and extreme weather are the biggest enemies. But is that explanation enough? Maybe there's a greater mystery, a little-known truth hidden beneath the waters of Cook Strait. Get ready to discover historical facts, curiosities, and mysteries that will challenge your beliefs about this fascinating region. And beware, what you're about to learn might completely change your view of New Zealand. Cook Strait is one of those places that look deceivingly simple. When you glance at a map, it's just a narrow stretch of water between New Zealand's two main islands. Looks easy to cross, right? Not quite. This body of water is only about 14 miles wide, but it hides a force of nature that's hard to wrap your head around. The waters here are incredibly deep, reaching up to 10,000 feet. And the most curious part is how the tides behave like they never agreed on anything. One pushes this way, the other pulls that way. And in the middle of all that, the sea turns into a giant blender. Sailing through it is like trying to balance a spoon inside a washing machine on high spin. And the wind. Oh, the wind doesn't just blow, it howls. The region sits right in the path of the infamous Roaring Forties, winds that sweep across the southern hemisphere with unbelievable strength. Gusts can reach over 150 miles per hour, and that's not just during storms. It happens regularly. It's like nature decided to test anyone bold enough to pass through. There have even been cases where entire ferries had to turn back or change course due to the sheer power of the gusts. One particularly interesting fact is that some seasoned sailors claim navigating Cook Strait is tougher than crossing parts of the Atlantic Ocean. This stretch of sea, full of wild energy and unpredictable behavior, has even become a subject of study for scientists and adventurers. People who are drawn to curiosities of the planet recognize this area as one of the most challenging waters in the world. And of course, if just crossing it is already a feat, imagine trying to build something over it. That brings us to another little-known detail that completely changes the game. Now, if the waters of Cook Strait already sound like a challenge straight out of a disaster movie, wait until you learn what lies beneath the surface. New Zealand sits right on the collision zone between two tectonic plates, the Pacific and the Indo-Australian. Sounds like the names of mythical dragons fighting for territory, doesn't it? But believe me, the clash between these plates is constant and, quite often, felt by those standing on solid ground. We're talking about roughly 14,000 earthquakes per year. Yes, you read that right. That's almost 40 tremors a day. Of course, most are weak, but every now and then, the Earth decides to speak up, loudly. And when it does, no engineer sleeps peacefully. Building any large-scale structure in a region like this isn't just a challenge. It's a bold move. Imagine constructing a bridge between the two islands, right over an unpredictable sea and in an active seismic zone. It's like trying to stack a house of cards on a trampoline. Concrete and steel alone wouldn't cut it. You'd need cutting-edge technology, flexible materials, and smart designs capable of adjusting to the shifting ground. Even then, the risk doesn't go away. It's one of those scenarios where the what-if factor constantly haunts planners. And here's a particularly interesting fact. Many similar projects around the world have had to be modified or even scrapped altogether due to earthquakes that simply couldn't be ignored. What's truly curious is that despite all this seismic activity, life goes on in New Zealand. Buildings in Wellington, for example, are designed to sway like bamboo in the wind. Flexible, yet strong. People have learned to live with daily tremors. But when we start talking about a massive structure like an inter-island bridge, that changes everything. Which is probably why some alternative ideas have started to seem much more practical. With so many challenges both above and below ground, it's only natural that people start thinking outside the box. And one idea that's come up more than once is building an underwater tunnel connecting the two islands. Sounds bold. Absolutely. But if Europe managed to connect England and France with the Eurotunnel, why couldn't New Zealand do the same? Japan also pulled it off with the Seikan Tunnel. These projects show that it's possible to cross oceans from below, without relying on the mood of the sea or the madness of the wind. It's a truly interesting fact about how human ingenuity can bend nature, or at least work around it with creativity. Now just imagine, instead of spending 3 to 4 hours on a rocking ferry, at the mercy of storms and cancellations, a person could hop on a train and be on the other side of the island in about 40 minutes. Simple, fast, safe. And the most curious part, technically it's doable. Modern engineering has tools to deal even with the risk of earthquakes, using flexible structures, shock-absorbing systems, and real-time sensors to detect seismic activity. It would be like having an invisible bridge, protected below the sea. Of course, an underwater tunnel would solve a lot of practical issues. It avoids weather delays, strong winds, unpredictable currents. And it would place New Zealand in the same league as countries that have pulled off major infrastructure feats. But, and there's always a but, right? Not everything that's possible is necessarily practical. Because once we bring costs and actual demand into the conversation, the picture changes quite a bit. Here's where the conversation gets a bit tougher. Not because of a lack of enthusiasm, but due to the hard truth of economic reality. No matter how much technology advances or how daring human spirit can be, the cost of an underwater tunnel connecting New Zealand's islands is a giant obstacle that can't be overlooked. Estimates put the price tag somewhere between $10 and $20 billion. And that's just the tunnel itself. You'd still have to cover access points, stations, trains, and all the supporting infrastructure. It's a colossal financial commitment, something that could easily become a money pit. Now, consider this. New Zealand's population is roughly 5 million people. A country renowned for its stunning, breathtaking landscapes, yes, but relatively small when you think about how many people might actually use this connection every day. To put things into perspective, think about the Eurotunnel linking England and France, both extremely populated countries with heavy traffic of people and goods. Or the Seikan Tunnel in Japan, connecting two highly populated areas. In these cases, the demand clearly justifies the immense investment. But in New Zealand, things look very different. Sure, there's some traffic between the islands, but nowhere near the volume needed to sustain such a massive project. It would be like building a gigantic stadium in a tiny, charming town that just doesn't have the crowd to fill it. Here's another curious fact. The New Zealand government has studied the idea thoroughly and, while not completely dismissing it, has recognized that for now, the cost-benefit simply doesn't add up. Still, the dream of an underwater tunnel hasn't vanished completely. It remains alive in the minds of engineers, economists, and infrastructure enthusiasts who love digging into curiosities about modern engineering feats. Meanwhile, the ferry, simple yet reliable, continues to serve as the practical solution for crossing Cook Strait. And that choice has its own unique charm, offering a connection to the natural beauty and the mysteries of this remarkable place. Despite all the natural and economic challenges involved in building a megastructure between New Zealand's islands, the ferry remains a solution that makes perfect sense in practice. And as a bonus, offers an experience that's almost a show in itself. About 1 million passengers a year use the 5 ships crossing Cook Strait. It's not just transportation. It's an invitation to observe nature in its wildest state, a true biodiversity spectacle. Imagine, while sailing, spotting dolphins jumping, sea lions relaxing on rocks, curious penguins, and even seabirds that seem to follow the route with an aerial choreography. This is one of those interesting facts that make any journey more than just a simple crossing. Beyond direct contact with nature, the ferry system has another advantage many forget: flexibility. On stormy days or in adverse weather conditions, operations can adjust schedules and ensure people arrive safely. Something that, curiously, even a tunnel wouldn't completely solve, especially in such a dynamic region. And believe it, navigating Cook Strait isn't for just anyone. You need to handle strong winds and unpredictable currents, which makes the work of captains and crew a true exercise in skill and courage. And the feeling of overcoming this crossing has a special charm, one that stays in your memory. Finally, the ferry is not just a means of transport. It's part of New Zealand's tourism, culture, and identity. Each trip connects people not only between islands but with local stories, mysteries, and curiosities. It's as if the sea itself shares its secrets with those willing to listen. And while many dream of futuristic bridges and tunnels, the ferry remains there, steady, beautiful, and efficient, showing that sometimes the simplest solution is also the most enchanting. And it's exactly at this point that a new challenge arises beyond climate and geography. So what do you think? Does New Zealand really hide something by never connecting its islands? Or are all these natural and economic challenges enough explanations? After all, if building a bridge or tunnel were that simple, why hasn't anyone seriously tried? Could there be an even bigger mystery lurking beneath these restless waters? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. Do you know other curiosities or historical facts about places facing similar challenges? Share them here. And if you want to keep uncovering more mysteries and interesting facts about the world, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you'll stay updated and never miss out on new content. Let's embark on this journey of discovery together.